the video. All right, here we are, Mr. McAdam, Stuart McAdam, from Edinburgh, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So, Stuart, first of all, thank you very much and appreciate you for doing this, for jumping on the call and sharing your insights from your 12-week transformation that you've been through. So you've managed to get to the end, you've graduated, and you're going to share now your story and help others do the same. So, Stuart, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, who are you? What do you do? Where do you live? How old are you? All that stuff.
Okay, Stuart McAdam, just turned 50. Haven't told anybody that, but I'm now on Facebook, so there you go. Live in Edinburgh. I've lived there for 10 years. Lived in Perth for 30 years before that. Married to Iona, and we've got 3 children. And yeah, we've got a good family life. And I just decided to crack on with this program because I wanted to do something for me.
Nice. What else do you do? Like, you've got your own business, haven't you?
I have. I've run my own business for 8 years. We now have office premises, and we've got some staff who help out with all the roles that we've got in the office. Cool. We look after about 300 clients. So yeah,
nice,
very good.
Nice. So tell us a bit about where you were before you started this program. Like, what were things like for you? What was going on?
Busy business life, busy family life with children kind of growing up from school, graduating through university, and just a bit of a taxi service and making sure that all their needs were catered for. And now that they've all kind of flown the nest, it was about just taking a wee bit of time back for myself and having a look at kind of feeling a bit better. That was the kind of thought process behind it. I felt that my weight had got to a stage where doing something myself maybe wasn't ideal because it wasn't working. There wasn't a focus that there had maybe needed to be to kind of make the changes I was hoping to change. As Einstein says, you know, insanity is when you do the same things over and over again but expect a different result, and that just wasn't happening.
Yeah. What sort of stuff were you trying before we met? Like, what sort of stuff were you doing?
Well, I wasn't trying too hard. I hadn't exercised properly for a while. I'd had knee surgery a number of years back, and it probably had almost like been an excuse as to not exercise because my knee was quite swollen after any kind of minimal sort of exercise. So it was almost like an excuse not to do it. So the exercise was quite low. In terms of nutrition, there was no focus on what I was eating. It was almost what was prepared you would eat, and sometimes I'd make the wrong choices. Probably more often than not, I'd make the wrong choices.
Just sometimes.
Well, I corrected myself.
All right, Stuart, cool. How much weight have you lost? Like, the program, I know the program's not finished yet, but we've got another few days left. But how much weight have you managed to lose so far?
As of this morning, I'm down 24 pounds in just under the 12 weeks. So 2 pounds per week is pretty much the average, which is, I feel, sustainable because my objective is not about the losing of the weight, it's about making sure that I don't put it back on. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we are after almost 12 weeks.
Are you surprised that you've managed to lose the weight on this program? Like, let's look at before you signed up to this. Like, yeah.
I as I said to you when we were on our calls, it'd been a long time where my weight had ever gone down for any period of time. It just consistently gone up over a number of years. and therefore to see the results very early on, the first few weeks of the programme, I then became determined that I would make sure that throughout the 12 weeks my weight never went up in a particular week. And that I would do what I had to do to try and make sure that my weight continued to fall at the levels I was hoping to.
Okay. How's this impacted other areas of your life? Like you doing this program, making the changes that you've made, has that impacted other areas of your life in any way?
Yes, because before I'd started this program, cycling had been almost like an exercise as opposed to doing it for an enjoyment. I played football for years and I enjoyed it, so therefore you didn't almost notice that you were doing exercise. Whereas I found with cycling, it was a bit of a chore. So when I started the program, I agreed, I think in week 1, to do a 6-mile cycle. And that to me was basically like a local route. And through coaching, guidance, nudging from yourself, we've increased that. And then Saturday morning, I was out and I did a 30-mile cycle, because we've increased it by about 3 miles a week on average. And it took me 2 hours, and I really enjoyed it, because the first couple of times I did it, I probably went upstairs and lay in the bed for about half an hour, because it took a while to kind of get my head back in the air. I'd just done 6 miles. That was horrendous amount of exercise. Whereas now, basically, I can come back in, have a shower, and just get on with the day.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge change in terms of Saturday mornings. To me, were almost like my time to chill out, do nothing, stay in bed, have a cup of tea, just do nothing. Whereas now, Saturday mornings about cycling, exercise, and do something for myself, and I feel much more energized, particularly through the remainder of the Saturday, than I've done before.
Nice. Did you have any concerns before starting the program?
I think I've got a bit of drive and determination, but in terms of exercise and about what I would call this is a personal journey. This is not a business goal, which are almost easier to hit. It'd been quite a while since I actually focused on personal objectives. So therefore, in week 1, I was almost agreeing to almost like this change, but I probably hadn't quite absorbed. My head wasn't probably in the right place that I could actually do this for 12 weeks. And it's only when I got to about week 3 or week 4 that I could start to see the results. And therefore, now it's about keeping that going. And the choices that I'm now making are, I believe, the right choices, and therefore will stand me in good stead for 12 months, not for 12 weeks.
Are you proud of yourself for what you've achieved so far?
Yes. I'm always hesitant, because obviously with anything you can always do more, you can always do better. But if somebody had said to me 12 weeks ago you'd be 24 pounds lighter, I would laugh. I would go, no danger. It's 4 years since I've been this weight, and it's surprised myself. But I've certainly taken responsibility for the journey that I've been on.
You've taken responsibility for the journey you've been on, you said.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Well, my conversation with you was that in week 1, I was looking for guidance about things like do's and don'ts for, let's say, breakfast meal. And we had a chat about making a couple of changes to breakfast, which I've stuck with throughout the program. So that's been a huge positive. And I said to you in week 1 and 2, I felt that you were driving the car, and that by weeks 3 and 4, I felt that I was driving the car. I felt that I was in charge of the motor vehicle. I was actually making sure that I'd had my nutrition, my protein, and doing all the right things. And then a few weeks ago, I said to you, I felt that not only was I driving the car, but you were now in the back. It felt so much that it was almost like just step back, Christian. I've got this. and that's how it had to be, because if I had failed in this program, then it was nobody else's fault. It was mine for not undertaking the things that I said I would do and undertake the changes to get to where I wanted to get to.
That's a really important point, and I loved how you said that. What shift did you have to make? Like, how did you go about this? Like, how did you, like, why did you get to this point where you're like, right, and this is on me? Like, I'm not going to be, when did you realize that I wasn't going to basically hold your hand to the finish line, that it was actually you who had to step up and take ownership and responsibility for yourself in this program?
Well, right at the start of the program, before I'd even agreed to undertake it, we had a conversation around, did you feel it appropriate at times through the program that you would have to kick my backside to get me back on track if I needed? And I said, absolutely, because this isn't going to work unless I can take that sort of criticism if need be. And I think by the time the middle of the program, it was myself kicking my own backside rather than you, because I had taken full responsibility of the goals and the objectives, and therefore you were there to guide. You weren't there to need to kick my backside, because I think I was well capable of doing that and making sure that I limited damage if I decided to go out for a few beers, that I made sure that by the end of the week I'd made up for it. You didn't make up for it in your daily calorie intake, but you made sure that over the course of a week that you absorbed the days out and the enjoyment, and you didn't lose any of that, but you just made sure that you kind of refocused and made sure that by the end of that week you were back on track again.
Nice. Where do you think you would be now if you hadn't started this program?
I would have been in exactly the same position, because I would have gone out and cycled ad hoc. I would have, on occasional Saturday mornings, decided that I couldn't be bothered getting up and actually going and getting on my bike or having 20 minutes with kettlebells, or I would have probably used my own excuses to do something else, or go and clean out the garage, or wash my car, or just go out for a cup of coffee somewhere. I would do something that would almost like be an excuse. And very quickly I said I'd use Saturday mornings where I was taking my son to football training, or we were doing various different things, and Saturday morning I just took ownership of it and was like, well, this is kind of my time. And I've basically built exercise into that part of the week, which wasn't there before.
Are you surprised that you've managed to lose 24 pounds using only distance coaching? One call a week with me on a Zoom call. 56.
But I suppose yes. But I think from my own business goals, I said when I set an objective with you, I knew it was a stretching target, but you have to set a goal that you feel at the end of it that you've achieved something. And therefore I could quite easily have kind of chosen a lower number so that it would make life easier for myself. But I think that I wouldn't have lost the weight I've lost now if I'd set an easier goal, because you would have never got to the standards, or I would never be doing 30 miles a week. I'd be sticking to 9 miles a week, because that's all I needed to do to get to the level that I've targeted. So that wasn't the aim of this. This was about a short, sharp shock about how I kind of confused my body into basically exercise and nutrition and all that sort of stuff.
Do you feel better?
Much better. I don't have the appetite for chocolate and crisps and beer that I had before. I still enjoy them, but I don't feel I need to go through half a box of Quality Street to get to the stage of enjoyment now.
Nice. What about, tell us a little quickly about we had this conversation about your wife as well.
Yes.
The impact this has made on her as well, right? Like, are you okay to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I think my wife has always kind of focused on the nutrition side of the healthy eating, and we don't have a bad diet by any means. But when you focus on healthy eating alone, you don't necessarily lose weight. And therefore, it was about the habits that I'd learned about the kind of combining it with the exercise, whereby she was starting to very quickly see the results that I was getting compared to the kind of the program that she was leading by herself, which is almost the program that we'd led by ourselves before. And I think very quickly she then realized she could see the results were starting to, I had less of a waist. My belt buckle was in 1 or 2 notches. My face was thinner. And she's now lost about 10 or 11 pounds. She's swimming at 6:30 in the morning, which is unheard of. She went out and did a 10-mile cycle with me on Sunday, which was more leisurely than the 30 miles I did myself on the Saturday. But it was about basically doing something for ourselves, and she got the benefit out of that. So I would say that she's actually benefiting from the program as well. Our conversations, we go out for a walk every evening. We have conversations now which are much more to do with exercise and energy and nutrition than they've been before. So therefore, it's about, we talked about habits, about forming good habits. And exercise didn't really form too highly, so therefore it would never have been a part of a conversation to have about maybe we should go out for a cycle on Saturday or Sunday. So that was a real benefit that has been brought in, that we are more mindful of our food shop. Our food shop's gone down dramatically because we're not having all the shinies, as I was call them, when you walk into a supermarket and they've got all these shelves right at the front door that to entice you. So we've really kind of changed things around in terms of the crisp cupboards hardly been touched for the last 12 weeks, whereas crisps were, we would go through a couple of bags of 6 packs in a week quite easily without even noticing it.
Nice. So you've saved money on the food bill.
Mm-hmm.
You're going out walking and having conversations with your wife every week now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Getting up Saturday morning, going out for your cycle.
Yeah.
Lost 24 pounds.
Yeah.
Your wife has seen the results that you're getting, and she's following in your footsteps with this, and she's getting results.
Yeah.
How does all that feel to you?
It almost feels like a new habit. It feels like we're in a good space, and we've developed habits that we plan to continue with. I'll give you an example. We would go out for meals, and I would always have what I wanted to have, whether that be a beef burger with chips and bacon and cheese, and if that's what you wanted, if that's what you wanted on that day, you would have it. Whereas now, I make a point of going and viewing that menu online, and therefore, before I've gone out for the meal, I've actually now chosen what I'll have, and it's definitely not the burger or the steak pie option. It's about making sure that I, in effect, pick something that I think reflects the goals that I've set for going forward. As I said, not just for the 12 weeks, but beyond.
Nice. So you're making better choices overall and more in control of your choices.
Yeah. I mean, in the early weeks, I had a number of calories which I was to use up per day, and it was like I can have whatever I want as long as I don't exceed them. So if you want to go out and have a couple of beers, if you want to have a packet of crisps, if you wanted to have these things, that's fine. But my mindset was about, if you have it, then as long as it's within your what I call the calorie deficit, as long as you don't exceed your daily benchmark, then you're fine. So, and it's throughout the 12-week program that we've then looked at the carbs, the protein, the fats, and we've started to get a better balance than we had at the start. But the first goal was to not have 2.5 or 2,800 calories a day needlessly because you hadn't monitored it. And I said to you before, I could have a bacon roll with 5 or 6 rashers in it. And only when you look at that now, you think there's 800 calories. And there's no danger you can stay within 2,000 calories a day when you've just had a rolled bacon and, tomato sauce or juice. You've used up half your daily calories at breakfast.
What did you like about the program?
There was loads of different elements to it. I referred to it as homework, where we looked at assignments or assessments about assessing different aspects of your life. It was about writing things down, whereas I think sometimes rather than just talking about something, if you actually write it down, have more chance of actually committing to it because you've remembered it, having put it to paper. And the good thing about this, I've taken loads of notes throughout the program, and therefore that's something I can reflect back on. So it's not just about a 12-week program. This is about kind of making sure that you kind of stick to the habits that you've learned over the 12 weeks. We talked about the wheel of life, and I said when I drew my wheel of life, it was a bit imbalanced, and it's about making those adjustments to make sure that your family, your business, yourself are all catered for equally. And that was a big win, that you actually got to understand that all these components, you can't have a lopsided wheel. You've got to make sure that it's more balanced.
Nice, yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like that analogy of the glass balls, isn't it?
Well, I had said that there's the glass balls and the rubber balls. The glass balls is your family, and if you drop them, something cracks or shatters. If you drop a rubber ball, which is your work, it bounces. So it's really important that your family, your spouse, your relationships are a huge part of your mindset, to make sure that they are involved in, and that you kind of look after them as much as you look after yourself or your business life. You can't focus on certain areas only. You've got to look after them all, which was very useful. Nice.
All right. Last question. What would you say to someone thinking about signing up to this program?
I would say you will quickly see the benefits of the program. I had hundreds of questions at the start. I was almost like needing to know everything at the start in terms of what I was committing to. And I very quickly learned, once I signed up to the program, that there was a lot of elements that I could benefit from, and that having guidance from somebody was more important than trying to do it yourself and getting the same results as you'd got before. I almost like needed somebody to kick my backside, which I allowed to happen probably for the first couple of weeks, but then realised that this was about me. This was my plan. So as I said to you, I looked at different people. I looked at a lot of stuff. I did my due diligence on you, on the clients, on the articles that you'd written, and some people were losing some hefty numbers. And I said to you, it was really important that I focused on my plan and my goals and my objectives, because at the end of this, it didn't matter whether somebody else had lost more or less weight than me. It was about what I got out of the program, and I would definitely say that if somebody does sign up to the program, they will benefit from the advice that they get on nutrition, on mindset, and basically just give them a hand or a benefit from the exercise routines, because you provide exercises, but you also commit them to videos. So I thought that was really useful as well. So that for somebody who hadn't exercised too heavily, that was really quite useful.
Nice. All right, Stuart, thank you very much for jumping on today.
All right, no problem.
All right, so we'll speak soon. I'll drop you a wee
All
message.
right.
All right.
Good man.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.